Talk to me, Majestic talks. Come and talk to me. Talk to me, Majestic talks. Come and talk to me. Majestic talks. Come and talk to me.
Hi there, everyone. Welcome to the Majestic Talk Show. I'm your host, Latasha Morgan, certified Christian life coach, certified professional life coach, board certified master Christian mental health coach, and a whole lot of other goodies, y'all. Today, our topic is love and faithfulness. We have two great guests for today, Patricia West and Liquinita Callaham. Let's give them a hand as they join us. We have Liquinita first. Liquinita, tell everyone hello and welcome to the show today.
Hello. Thank you for having me, Ms. Morgan. Thank you so much.
It's a pleasure. Let everyone know who about yourself. Introduce yourself to everyone.
My name is Liquinita Callaham Rutledge. I am from McCormick, South Carolina originally. I have my bachelor's in psychology. I'm currently working on some certificates in mental health coaching. I am the author of Searching for Daddy in the Dark, released in 2019. I'm a wife. I'm a mom. I'm a lover of Christ. That's me. That's who I am.
Thank you so much again for being here, Liquinita. Patricia, why I can't talk. Patricia West, how you doing today?
Look, I'm grateful. I'm glad to be here. And you can call me Trisha. Everybody calls me Trisha. That's easy. But I'm Patricia West. I am, I love Liquinita's introduction. I'm like, I'm a wife. I'm a newlywed. Going on 2 years. I am a mom of adult children. I'm a caregiver. I am a licensed clinical social worker and a licensed clinical addiction specialist, as well as a certified life coach. I am the founder of Noel Integrated Services Incorporated, where we provide behavioral health, addiction counseling, and life coaching services.
Oh, awesome. Welcome, ladies, again to the show. I'm so glad to see you. Liquinita, I've known you for years. And
Yes,
Patricia,
ma'am.
I'm glad to finally meet you, okay? You were in the Joy 365 group where we had the bestseller, Joy 365 journal and devotional. So congratulations, fellow bestseller.
Yes, congratulations.
Yes, all of us here are authors. We're new. Liquinita, you've been an author since 2019. How does
Yes,
it
ma'am.
feel?
It is a great feeling. It is a wonderful feeling to be able to express yourself through your written work. I love it. I enjoy it.
Trish, how do you feel to be in a bestseller?
Well, this is my third project that I've been on collaborating. So it was like exciting. The first one I was on, we made bestseller as well, and kind of did another collaboration. So I was excited, but this one was different. It was just totally different. The authors was different. The way Dr. V structured everything, I was blown away. It was amazing because I wasn't expecting a journal, but we got 2 for 1, and it was just. It was amazing.
Yeah, and it's amazing because even those devotionals show forth the faithfulness of God. Liquinita's book shows the faithfulness of God, Searching for Daddy in the Dark. that means we have to depend on God and trust God through the situations we've
Exactly.
experienced.
Yes.
So when we talk about the faithfulness of God, we're talking about God. We mean that God is unchanging in his nature. He's
Yes.
consistent. He's true to his word, and
Exactly.
everything he promises to us comes to pass. And we've seen that over and over in scripture, even with Abraham. He was first Abram when he was just father, and that just meant father. And Sarai was, that means mother. But before God changed their name, he had already called them father many, had already told him that he would have many descendants. He took him outside, even in Abraham's fear, after he had defeated the armies that took Lot, his nephew. Even after he defeated them and returned everything to Sodom and Gomorrah that was stolen, he was afraid because he said, what if they come and get me since I'm by myself? And
Right.
God took a moment to show him his faithfulness. Look, Abraham, you're going to have to be here because I got to fulfill my promise. I got to do something that I have to do what I said I'll do. So through you, I'm going to produce a huge nation that even if you could count the stars in the sky, you wouldn't be able to count all of your children. And Abraham couldn't even have children at the time. You
Mm-hmm.
know, they were old as dirt. You know, we would say, ugh, that's gross. You too old to be doing that.
Right.
But God was
Right.
still faithful. Even when they decided to go and fulfill God's promises themselves, God was still faithful. He still blessed what's his name? He still blessed Abraham's first child, even though he wasn't a part of the promise. He still blessed him.
Yep.
For some reason, I couldn't think of his name, but he
Isaac.
still,
Yeah.
yeah. No, Isaac was his son, was the second son, the one that the promise would go through. But anyway, God was still faithful. And in that book of Exodus, this was in the book of Genesis, but it was in the
Mhm.
book of Exodus when we see his promises fulfilled, when we see
Yes.
the number of people leaving Egypt and God giving them the land that he had promised. In Joshua, you see them getting the land he had promised. So that's the faithfulness of God. We don't often see people doing things consistently, and we can always trust everybody else, but we always know that we can always trust God and know that God is faithful to whatever he's promised, whatever he said. He's faithful and just to do that. I want to know from the two of you, how have you seen God being faithful in your lives? Liquinita, you can go first.
Oh man. Um, God has proven himself faithful for me over and over again. As a legally blind individual, I have been stigmatized a lot. And being that that is the case for me, I haven't always had the same opportunity to have a job, to work the same way that most people do because I am pre-labeled or prejudged based on the disability that I have. And then when I became the mother of a disabled child with the same disability, the fight became harder because I not only had to advocate for myself, but I had to advocate for my daughter. But being that I have never worked a regular 9 to 5 and I had to depend on SSI for the covering of me and my 2 children with minimal child support, I have seen God show up over and over and over again. Not one time have we ever been hungry. Not one time have the lights been turned off. Not one time did we not have anywhere to stay. God stretched that little bit and made it more than enough for us. Even through every medical trial that my daughter has faced, when the doctor said, well, we don't know how this is going to work out, or we don't know if she's going to survive this, I have seen God's healing power manifest itself in my daughter's life to where she's 28 years old when they didn't think that would even happen.
Hmm.
Faithfulness of God, even with myself, and not just my eyes, but I had issues with my heart, and then I faced other health challenges. In 2012, I lost the ability to walk, to talk. I couldn't remember who I was, where I was, who my family was. When they wanted to put me in a mental hospital because I was unable to communicate, and I was having uncontrollable seizures, God he saw me through.
Mhm.
And to be able to sit here, to be able to speak, to be able to see what I can see, to be able to walk and to know my children and know my family, and to know that God has shown up for me every single time. He has shown up for me. I
Mhm.
wouldn't be who I am without him. I would not be. He has proven himself faithful more than once in my life.
That's amazing.
Wow. Yeah,
That's
that's
amazing.
amazing. Yeah, yeah. Trish, how about you?
I'm just sitting here like, whoo, I'm just breathing through what she just shared. I was like, God is definitely amazing. And when I think about faithfulness, I think about those times when we all say, "Oh, I'm faithful to God, I'm faithful," but then when something happens somewhere or another, sometimes we shrink back from that faith. We shrink back and we're like, "Well, I don't know." But then for me, those times when I felt like I was shrinking back, I had to remember. You know what? God brought me through this situation. I had to remember, like, okay, God was faithful in that situation, and being a mom of three, now they're three adult children, being a parent caregiver, there were times when I just was like, God, I just don't know. I don't know what to do next. I was married the first time for 28 years. And, when you get married, you think, I'm going to be married for forever. But then, life happened and we ended up getting a divorce. But it was through those times where I felt like my faith was being tested the most. It was like, okay, so now what are you going to do? Now it's the one income. Like Liquinita said, what are you going to do with the little bit that you have? How are you going to make a little bit stretch? And I just remember nights where I would just, nobody knew because we can't tell, we're supposed to be super moms. We can't tell anybody anything. But there
Right.
were nights when I would just literally sprawl out on the floor and I'll be in the bathroom and I'm like, God, I don't know what to do next. I don't know. I want to give up, but I can't give up because these people are dependent on me. And God was like, hey, I was faithful with you when you went through this situation and I brought you through. I was faithful. I was with you when you went through that situation. I brought you through. What makes you think I can't bring you through this next situation? And I just told her, and every single time I was like, okay, God, I'm going to trust you. I'm going to have faith in you. And I may not understand what's going on right now, but I'm going to trust the process. And I'm going to
Right.
trust you. And every time God would bring me through. And now it's to the point where I'm like, God, I'm waiting in expectation. Come on now, let's get this thing done. Because it's like now, it's almost like your confidence. Like
Yeah.
once you gain confidence, God is like, you start becoming confident in your faith. Because it's like, you know what, God, I brought this to you. You may not have answered it the way I wanted you to answer it, but you answered it the way that you saw fit for me to be able to manage it. So when I think of that, I'm like, God has definitely been faithful in so many areas of my life. I'm like her. We could be sitting here talking forever about
Right.
God has showed up and showed out. Showed up
Yeah.
and showed out.
Yeah. So that is so true. But knowing your story, Liquinita, and Trish, your story that you just said, still there are people out there that don't believe that God exists. Don't believe that God, they may believe in a higher power, but they don't really believe that God is who we know God to be. And maybe they haven't experienced God in the way we have, or maybe they just haven't been taught, or just because of the things that go on in the world, that makes them believe that God doesn't exist. What would you say to that person, Liquinita?
For me, I would say, there are things that have happened in my life that cannot be explained by any human logic. There are
Mhm.
things that have taken place for me that no one could have done but God. I've often been questioned about my faith and how I believe what I believe and why I believe it so passionately. It's because I can't consider the alternative of not believing, of not trusting God, of not having faith in him, because it's just the little whisper of his voice that's on the inside of me that keeps me going, that keeps me pushing. When you look around at all of his creation, and they could blame it on the Bang Theory, or they could blame it on science, but there's no way There's no way, because God's word spoke things into existence. He spoke us into existence, and there's no other explanation for me. There's no other reason for me to know that God is real and that he does exist. Does he allow things to happen? Of course, because what he said is he's not going to force us to love him. He's not going to force us to accept him. He gives us free will. So either you do or you don't.
Mhm.
Whatever that is for you, that's on you, but you have to live with the consequences of that choice. For me, I choose to believe.
Mhm. What about you, Trish?
That look, I love it. I love listening to her because I'm like, that was deep right there. But I feel the same way. You know, I tell people there are situations, there are things I've been through that, but my hashtag on everything I do is but God. Everything I do, because I know I'm here, I have because of God. It is not a thing, because if it's up to me, I would mess it up every single time.
Mhm.
If
Mhm.
it was up to me, it wouldn't happen. But I know it was nobody but God. You know, I had some major health issues. I was like Liquinita said, I was on so much medication that by the time I would get to work in the morning, I would have to sit in my car for about 20 minutes to sleep off the medication from the night before to get home to take the medication again. And I did that for 5 years straight.
Mhm.
5 years. It's like 5 years of my life. I'm like, it was a blur because I had no clue. But in the midst of that, I still got to take care of a family. I still got a mom. I still got a work. I still got who got me through that? It
Mhm.
Right.
wasn't my strength. It wasn't nothing I did. So it was nobody but God. And I agree with you when you said sometimes people look at the bad and say, well, if there was a God, why are we having the bad? Because we got free will. He's not going
Mhm.
Yep.
to do anything you don't want to do. So if you choose not to believe, that's on you. But there's a consequence for not believing. And if you do believe, there's a consequence. God blesses you. But
Right.
even through like the hardships, we still got to remain faithful. Because if
Yep.
God could give us the good, we could take the bad too.
Right.
True, true. Go ahead, ladies. I
Right.
love this. I love it. I love it. I love it because it seems to me that you're not afraid to say what you have to say. And it's important that people that people know that God is faithful even in any circumstance and situation. And here's the thing. Liquinita said something about that God spoke his word and the world came into being. God spoke and it took place. That shows the faithfulness of God because when he spoke, something happened. Just
Right.
because you don't see it doesn't necessarily mean that it isn't taking place.
That's
A lot
Right.
of times, God spoke something to us. He gave us a dream. He gave us a promise. And we don't think God is faithful because we haven't seen it yet. Then we lose hope. Then we just want to give up and we want to quit. But guess what? God is faithful. Just wait on what he has said. What he
Amen.
has promised will come to pass, but it'll come in his own time and in the season in which you are able to handle it. Because I always tell my sister, used to tell my sister this, one of my sisters, God always set up other people so that they're in the right place at the right time. So that when you come along, what you need is already provided. Just
Right.
like and that shows God's faithfulness because
right.
the faithfulness of God means he's also a provider. He provides comfort, he provides hope, but he also provides what you need. We see that in creation. Before God placed us here, he provided everything we needed to be healed, everything we needed to eat, everything we needed to sustain ourselves. God provided before he even placed us in here. And that shows how much he loves you. That before you got here, he made sure you had provision.
That's right.
That's right. He's the ultimate provider.
Yes,
Yeah.
he is.
And that shows his faithfulness. He's always faithful. Like
Yep.
again, I have been in situations, and even in my business as a coach, I've said, I don't know about this, God. This isn't happening the way I want it to happen. It isn't happening fast enough for me. Maybe I made a mistake. Maybe I heard you wrong. Maybe I should go do something else. Even with ministry, going to school for ministry, I know I heard God say that. But that doesn't mean that I think God is going to do what he said he's going to do either. I know he will because I've seen it. But at the time, in those moments where your faith is being tried and you are under that pressure, in that moment you think, maybe God didn't say what he said, or maybe God isn't going to do it. What did I do to keep God from doing what he said? It's just that the time and season has not arrived yet.
That's right.
And what we don't understand is time and season. There's a time and season for everything.
That's right.
God
That's
does
right.
everything in order. Just like he created earth, he created it in order so that you have what you need and what is provided. Now, what I want to do is, okay, let's think about this. We know that God is faithful. We know that he's consistent. We know we can trust him. We know he keeps his promises. He provides forgiveness and grace. He fulfills every prophecy and every word he's spoken. But how does that relate to mental health? How can that help you in mental health? Trish, you the expert. How can it help you in mental health?
You know, it's so interesting. Like, this is nothing totally but God, because this has been one of those weeks where I haven't wrestled with my faith, but I've been wrestling with, like, God, I've been asking you for stuff and you giving it to me. And I'm like sitting back like, Lord, what in the world is going on? And I'm like, well, you did ask for it. Didn't you ask for this?
Mm-hmm.
Didn't you ask for this? So why are you tripping? Because he's giving it to you. And so I spoke to a group yesterday and we talked about mental health, and the one thing the one thing I share with people is like, I was like, you know what? God made doctors, he made medication. We got all of these resources that God has provided for us. We say we have faith, so why don't we trust the resources that God has given us? We can't, people are like, well, we could just pray it away, or, we get the oil and we'll do this. And I'm like, amen for that. But God also provide mental health professionals. He provided medication. So why don't we use prayer and medication together? Prayer and therapy together. Why not bring those things together for completion? And then you have this well-rounded service that's being provided. You got God, you got the therapist, you got your medication. Come on. And then people say, oh, well, I'm like, but if you got high blood pressure, and the doctor said you got to take medication, you take your medication, don't you? If you're diabetic and you have to use insulin every day, you use insulin everything, don't you? Yeah. So why not take your mental health medication? And that's where they stop. They were like, you're right. You're right.
That is so true. That is so true. Now, when we think about the faithfulness of God, knowing that God is faithful can have a profound and major impact on our mental health. And there are several ways that can take place. It can reduce your anxiety and worry. Why? Because you're trusting in God to do what he said he'll do, right? So he provides the belief in a faithful God who cares for and provides for his followers can help reduce anxiety and worry about the future. Trusting God that God has a plan. And that plan is going to work out for your good, right? Because he knows the plans he has for you. It's not to harm you, but it's to bring you to expected end. So knowing that God has a plan for your life, regardless of what you see, regardless of what you're going through, you can know that God is faithful, and it'll reduce your stress because you don't have anything to worry about. You shouldn't be worrying because God is in control, right? It encourages you to be resilient because faith in God's faithfulness, you got to have faith in God's faithfulness. And that can foster resilience during difficult times. Knowing that God is with you in the struggles that you have, everything you face, and that he has a purpose for the very thing that you're experiencing. What we experience is for our good. God turns it around for our good so that we'll learn something from it, so that we'll be strengthened, that we'll be greater than we were before. And not only that, it's for the benefit of the people around you.
Right.
Why? Because it didn't encourage someone else. Just like Liquinita's story, just like your story, Trish, it will change the lives of other people. What we experience is for a purpose, and God has a plan for our lives. So it enhances our gratitude, and we'll have more positive thinking. Because we often, when we are concerned and worried about something, we have those negative thoughts. Just like I said, I want to quit. I don't think this is a good thing for me. Maybe you were wrong, God. It keeps us from trusting God. We don't have faith that God is trustworthy.
Mm-hmm. And that's so true. That's so true. But you know, the we do have to trust God with that. And then when there's like when the brain is so phenomenal, and so God is so phenomenal, and so it's like when we go through, if there's some type of chemical imbalance, or if there's something that we as humans just is out of our control, we got to go to God and pray about it. But we also, those are the times where it's like, God, I need you to help me to not be afraid, to not allow the stigma to stop me as well from seeking additional help. Because we'll pray, and even we all know sometimes we pray, and do we always leave it at the altar? We'll pray at the altar, then what we do? Pick it up,
take it with you.
take it right back, pick it up, take it right back with us. And so we always have to like think like, okay, God is the ultimate provider, and God will get me through this. So let me trust God in whatever the process is that I need to take, so that I can be stable, so that I can be mentally stable. You know, because the best of us struggle. So just think of those who struggle, who has some type of mental capacity that they don't know the whole concept behind God. And it's not like they don't want to, but their brain just doesn't grasp the concept. So
Right.
we do in that case. So I love what you just shared. I love everything that you just shared about just God's faithfulness.
Yeah, God's faithfulness. And that's the thing. We think that God only works in one area when we at church, but God works in every area of our lives. Yeah, he works in every area. And if we just apply his principles, his biblical principles, if we just believe and trust in him, because when we worry causes other situations and circumstances to take place. Abraham and Sarah, I guess they were worried because they were too old. So then Sarah decides, hey, I'm gonna let you get my handmaid. You can go get a baby through her. But that isn't what God said, right? So we get impatient. And we don't trust what God says, so we start getting into and operating in other stuff outside of the will of God. That was outside of God's will. God never said, Abraham, you go ahead and sleep with Sarah's handmaid, Hagar.
Right.
Why would you go sleep with her? Then it caused you a whole lot of other problems that you had to send them away 2 times.
Right.
Hagar ran away. The second time she was sent away. And God had to provide an extra blessing for Hagar's son. Why?
Yeah.
Because Abraham went outside of God's word. He just took whatever Sarah said, right? So knowing that God is faithful, we also got to be mindful and careful of what's around us.
That's
what
right.
we listen to, what we attach ourselves to. We got to stop listening to whatever everybody else is saying, but focus on what God has said.
That's right.
Yes.
Everybody don't hear God. So you got to hear God for yourself and know that what he's saying is true and that he'll accomplish whatever he's sent out. He's started, he will finish.
Yes,
So we are down to a minute. So ladies, any other thoughts that you would like to add? Anything you would like to add?
I just want to say that I think it's important for people to know that God is consistent.
Yes.
He's consistent. He's never changing. He's everywhere all the time, even in the midst of the bad stuff, even in the midst of the things that we don't want to deal with, the stuff that we have to walk through. He's constant. He never said that there won't be trials. He never said that we wouldn't struggle. But he promised to be with us through everything. He promised to be our strength, our peace, our comforter, our friend. Whatever it is that we need, he is faithful to provide it. All we have to do is allow him access.
Yes.
And that is even in our minds. Give him access. And the peace of God, there is nothing like the peace of God.
Yeah, it's past all understanding. Yeah, that is so. Yeah. Thank you, Liquinita.
Yeah, she's preaching the word up in here now.
Liquinita giving us some service in
Well,
Yes, she is. Yes, she is.
I love the Lord, honey. I love the Lord. He's been good to me.
I
All
know
right,
that's right.
that's
Mhm.
true. How about you, Trish? Would you like
Just,
anything you
you
like to
know,
add?
tag teaming what she said. Definitely, God is consistent and God is always faithful. Even when we doubt, even when we have fear, even in our insecurities, God is still faithful. He is still right there. He's still
Mhm.
God's like, He never leaves us. We leave God. God
Yes.
doesn't leave us. So God
Right.
is always there. And I have to tell myself, even when I'm having those weary moments, God is here. You got, as you said, Liquinita, give him access.
Mm-hmm.
Give him access. Allow him in. Like, trust God. God. Sometimes we got to reflect. God done brought you through so much. Guess what? He gonna get you through this too. You
Yep.
just
Mm-hmm.
trust
Yep.
him, have faith in him, and hold on to his promises. We just gotta
Yep.
hold to his promises and know that God is always faithful.
Yep.
Always.
Always faithful.
He sure is. Liquinita, tell everyone how they can get in touch with you, how they can buy your book.
Okay, so Searching for Daddy in the Dark is available on Amazon.com. I also have a couple of copies here for those that need to get in touch with me. You can reach me at Liquinita, Liquinita, Callaham, Callaham, at yahoo.com. Or you could call me at 864-804-8483 to request a copy. They are $15 per copy. Please check it out. Thank you so much.
And let us know your social media handles.
You know what? I'm so sorry. I am Liquinita Callaham Rutledge on Facebook. I am Miss Callaham, MZ_Callaham on Instagram. I am Through Our Eyes 2 on TikTok. And yes, and I do have a Facebook group that I go live in every Sunday night at 7 p.m. called Through Our Eyes.
Awesome. Patricia?
Okay. I'm gonna have to check you out on through our eyes. That sounds awesome. I'm gonna have to look it
Please
up.
do. Thank
So
you.
my website is www.nistherapy.com. My number is 919-798-7817. Just like you shared earlier, Dr. Morgan, I'm the author of Joy 365, which can be purchased through my website, as well as Healing Toxic Habits, Volume 2. That was one of the other projects that I was on. That too can be purchased on my website as well. On Instagram, I'm NIS_INC. And on Facebook, I'm Patricia Roberts West.
Thank you. Liquinita, I think you need to tell people what Through Our Eyes is.
Okay, Through Our Eyes is a Facebook group that I now make public that was established in 2015 in honor of my daughter Alexis Tapp, to show her and connect her with other people with visual impairment disabilities. And since then, it has kind of morphed into its own little thing to not only just include visual and disabilities, but any people with disabilities, a place that you can go and know that you are not alone, where people are struggling and they can share their stories and help uplift, encourage, and inspire. And I'm also working on now getting it to be a nonprofit so I could assist those who are in need of certain technologies that they can have the things that they need.
All right. Awesome.
That's
Good.
awesome.
Yeah, y'all are doing big things. I'm proud. That is so great.
Yes.
It's good to see
Thank you,
people
ma'am.
doing great things. Great things. So, everyone, thank you for watching the show. Thank you, Liquinita. Thank you, Trish, for being on the show today. And just to let you know, I'm not a doctor, not yet.
Oh,
But thank you for speaking into existence,
that's
honey.
right.
I
That's
appreciate
right.
it. And I love it.
That's
I know
right.
I look like one, don't I? Anyway, don't worry, it's coming.
Yes. Yes.
But I really appreciate you all being on the show and sharing your stories with us and speaking to the people about the faithfulness of God and mental health. I really appreciate you coming. I look forward to seeing you again. Wait in the waiting area for me. So thank you, everyone. This has been the Majestic Talk Show. I'm your host, Latasha Morgan, certified Christian life coach, certified professional life coach, board certified master Christian mental health coach, and a whole lot of other goodies. We'll see you next time on the Majestic Talk Show, which airs every fourth Thursday. Have a nice night.
Talk to me, to me.